Do you ever wonder why you keep attracting the same kinds of guys over and over again? Partners who are emotionally unavailable, who are narcissists, who are cheaters, um, people who just seem like they're broken. Today we're going to talk about the healing code so that you can break that cycle of attracting broken guys. Hi, love. I'm Carisa Montooth, sixth generation energy healer, creator of the Soul Love Method course, helping high vibe single women heal their hearts and attract new love. And today we are talking about how to break the cycle of attracting broken guys. So, first, let's talk a little bit about the law of attraction because we need a context. We have to understand how the whole mechanism of attraction is working behind the scenes. Because there's this huge misconception about the law of attraction. There's this myth that I want to make sure that you don't fall into the trap of believing. And the myth goes like this. Because of the law of attraction, I attract what I want. And when I want it very strongly, then that's how I can bring it to me. If I want it really strongly and I visualize about it, then that's how I can bring it to me. That's not actually how the law of attraction works. The truth is that you don't get what you want, you get what you focus on and what you are a vibrational match to. So if we're attracting the same type of people over and over again, it's usually because we are focused on a certain thing and we are a vibrational match to a certain thing. So we might be focusing on pain from past relationships and not really dealing with it and healing it. We might be focusing on our loneliness, so we're attracting people that match that vibration. We might be focusing on disappointment or all of these other negative and heavy types of energy rather than healing them. We might just be focusing and focusing and focusing and ruminating on these things. And what that's doing is it's sending out this message to the universe that says, send me more of this because this is what I'm focused on. The other thing that happens sometimes is that we have these unhealed wounds in our energy, and we think that what we're recognizing between us and someone else is chemistry, but it's really just that their wounds feel familiar to us. They feel familiar to us because they have the same wounds that we do, or because they speak to our wound in the way that we're used to having someone speak to our wound. So they speak a language of abandonment, and we have an abandonment wound. That kind of a thing. They speak a language of betrayal with us, and we have a wound of betrayal. So sometimes that's what's going on, is that we need to heal those things on a really deep energetic level so that we can be attracting at this higher vibration kind of by default is what really happens, especially with the women in my community. So what I want you to understand first is that it's really not about blaming yourself at all. It's about raising your vibration so that you can be a match to a new kind of a partner. So first off, just congratulate yourself and praise yourself that you're even watching this video, because watching this video means that you want to move to that next level and that you're ready to understand what to do to raise your vibration and to be emotionally healthy and to have a good partner in your life and break that cycle. So good for you. Congratulate yourself. Stop and congratulate yourself. Tell yourself how amazing you are, because you really are. And you're not just watching this by accident. You're watching this because you are ready to heal. You're ready to have what you need to have in your life. You are ready for a deep, soulful, stand the test of time, committed relationship. So good for you. Congratulate yourself. Always give yourself that love. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So the three big ways, the three parts of the healing code to be able to break this cycle of attracting broken men are responsibility, self-love, and healing. And we're going to get into each of these right now. So for responsibility, one thing to remember is that everyone makes mistakes because we all have blind spots. We all have different wounds that we have experienced, that we have received, different energetic injuries that have caused us to create certain beliefs about what we deserve and what we're worthy of having, and just blind spots in our energy. And it's really important to remember that it's not your fault, but it is your challenge to overcome so that you can have the life that you actually deserve to have and not be held hostage by injuries of the past. That's not your destiny. Your destiny isn't for you to be held hostage by your past. Your destiny is, in some cases, if you've had a great, past and you're just trying to learn what to do to be healthy to move forward, awesome. But if you've had a really difficult past, then you have the challenge now of overcoming that past, and that is your destiny. You get to have a beautiful now, a beautiful present, and a beautiful future in spite of the past. So that's what's waiting there for you. And this first step, taking responsibility, is a really powerful way for you to do that. So it can be tempting to blame our exes, but it's about personal responsibility, because if we look at our exes, we're the common denominator, right? So it's really about personal responsibility. When you're noticing this pattern over and over and over again, that of men that are cheating on you, men that are abandoning you, men that are emotionally unavailable, all these kinds of things, it's the same thing over and over again, which means that they're attracted to something in energy, in our energy is matching them, and that's why they're being attracted into our lives. So as tempting as it can be to blame the people who have disappointed us, at some point we have to acknowledge to ourselves that we chose them because they felt like a match to us on some level. It's also really tempting for us to blame our childhood, and you may have experienced, trauma in your childhood. You may have experienced abandonment. You may have experienced abuse. You may have experienced betrayal. You may have experienced all of these very difficult wounds. But the thing about it is that you can launch from a cracked launch pad. So it doesn't have to control how high you can go or how far you can go. You can launch from a cracked launch pad. And this is your time to be able to do that. So being willing to say, I am ready to be responsible for making new choices in my love life and in my life in general is a huge sign of your emotional maturity and wisdom and your growth. So that's what it means to be responsible about your love life. The next thing is self-love. So for self-love, people discard this. They think that it's too simple. It sounds like, oh, that's too easy. That doesn't make a difference on one hand. But then on the other hand, they say, well, self-love, what does that even mean? Well, here's what it means. Self-love means that you take care of yourself, you take care of your mind, you take care of your body, and you take care of your spirit. It means that you put yourself first, and you put your health first and your well-being first. So we need to do that, and we can do that in a couple simple ways, and I'll describe 2 ways that are very easy to do that in just a sec. But first I want to tell you how self-love helps you. One is that it raises your vibration. So it makes it so that you're a match to someone at a higher vibration. When someone doesn't love themselves, if you attract partners who don't love themselves and you don't love yourself, you will never make each other happy. There will be deep insecurities. Each person, neither of you will be able to fill the other one up. So the best thing you can do is to fill yourself up really deeply with self-love so that you can attract someone who is also filled very deeply with self-love, and then you can create a beautiful life together. So self-love raises your vibration so you can be a match to this higher vibe person. And it also tells the universe that you are ready to receive love. It tells the universe that you are someone who receives good. You're someone who believes they deserve to receive goodness. You're someone who has made room in their lives to receive goodness, and that you are a match to goodness. And when you neglect your health or your well-being, or even just neglect giving yourself joy, then you're telling the universe, I don't have room for joy. I don't have room for goodness. I don't have room for things that are edifying for me, I don't have room for that stuff. So don't send it here. And the universe goes, no problem, not sending it. So two of the really big things that you can do, and they're easy things, but we don't do them. I shouldn't say easy, because if they were easy, we would do them more often. But simple. They're simple, but sometimes challenging, because I think a good estimate would probably be like 90% of us are not doing this. And they are to get enough water and to get enough rest. If we can do those basic fundamental things, it will be such deep self-love for us. And it'll change the way that we actually function on a day-to-day basis, and it will tell our bodies that we are supported and nourished and cared for. So self-love, you can begin with those two practices. Then the next step, the next part of our 3-part healing code for breaking the cycle of attracting broken guys is healing. And healing you can think of in 2 big parts. One is energetic healing and one is self-forgiveness. And we'll get to that in just a sec. Energetic healing. For a deep dive into energetic healing, you're going to want to check out my video, EFT Tapping for Attracting Love. And in that video, I talk about and guide you through a tapping process for using emotional freedom technique so that you can clear out limiting beliefs about what you deserve to have in love and become a match to the kind of love that you want to have. So check that out, EFT Tapping for Attracting Love. The second part of your healing work is going to have to do with self-forgiveness. For now, don't worry about forgiving those other people that have hurt you, people that have betrayed or abandoned or disappointed you. For now, don't worry about forgiving them. Put that into the future and know that there will be a time when you will be able to forgive them if that's the healthiest thing for you to do. It's not always the healthiest thing for you to do. Sometimes we get pressured into forgiving people who have harmed us deeply, and we often get pressured into doing that when those people are people that belong to our family, people that belong to our church, people who are still in our social circles. We get pressured into forgiving people even when they're not particularly sorry for harming us, and even if they are continuing to do things that would harm us. And that's not forgiveness. That's not true forgiveness. So we want to put that whole idea of having to forgive other people off to the side for a minute, and what we're going to focus on instead is forgiving ourselves, because that is much more important and it is sometimes more difficult. So the thing about it is, we want to look back at those times when we feel like, we made the same choices over and over again, even though they were painful for us. We want to look back at those times when we ignored the red flags because we just really didn't want to be alone anymore. We want to look back at those times when we allowed ourselves to be mistreated when we knew it wasn't right. And we want to forgive ourselves and release that need to punish ourselves. Sometimes we punish ourselves because we think, if I don't really make a point to myself about how bad that was and how stupid I was to do that thing, if I don't constantly punish myself and constantly think about it, I could make that same bad choice again, and then I will really be angry with myself. And the thing about it is that we don't often make changes very well through harsh, horrible, negative self-talk. We don't often, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work to talk to ourselves in a really punitive, nasty way. We can make our changes in a much more positive way by loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves. So what I want you to do is, I want you to be open to the idea that it is okay to stop punishing yourself, and that you can trust your discernment in the future, that you can trust yourself to make good choices in the future. And I want you to put your hand on your heart, take a really nice big deep breath, and let it out. And think about some of those times when you made some mistakes that impacted your love life and your ability to love yourself, things you did that you might feel ashamed of. Deep breath and letting it out. And while you have that on your mind, I want you to say to yourself, I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. Now, the reason you say I forgive you is obvious, right? You say I forgive you because you're forgiving yourself. You say I'm sorry because you're saying I'm sorry that I've been punishing you to yourself. You're saying I'm sorry that I've held on to this for so long and let this poison us. I'm sorry. You're saying that to yourself. And then you're saying thank you to yourself because you have forgiven yourself. And then you're saying, I love you. So those are important things for you to be able to do. When you do that self-forgiveness, you can take a deep breath. You can say, I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. And then take a nice big deep breath. Let it all out. And let it go. Let it go. Sometimes what you can do is you can give yourself permission to release it. You know, you might need to give yourself permission to release it, and you might need to give yourself permission to release it in the future. You can say, I am willing to let this go in the future. I'm not quite there yet, but I am willing to forgive myself. I am willing to forgive myself. I'm willing for there to be a time in the future where I have forgiven myself. And that willingness is a very powerful first step to forgiveness. So that's something for you to hold on to in your heart. So now I want to hear from you. How do you feel about doing this healing work for yourself? How do you feel about breaking this cycle? Sometimes what we do, is that we feel like we need to rescue other people. And what I want you to do is to give yourself priority in your own life. Let yourself be the most important person in your life. And trust the universe to take care of those other people that you might be, thinking, oh, I should help them, I should fix this, da 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 da. Release those people. Trust that the universe is taking care of them. Trust that God will take care of them. And you take responsibility for your healing. It's the same thing that they have to tell moms on planes. They have to tell parents on planes. Put your oxygen mask on first before you try to put oxygen masks on someone else, right? If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? So you need to get these things on board. Then you will be able to have those healthy, happy relationships. So how do you feel about doing this healing work for yourself? Share that with me in the comments. And remember, if you like this video, then like, comment, subscribe, share, get the word out, share it with people who need to have it and need to get this message. And remember that self-love is the best love. So love you first, love you best, and all other kinds of love will flow to you. Take care.